My name is Carla Ferran. I'm an agent with the City County Bureau of Identification, also known as CCBI.
As a CCBI agent, did you receive a call in August the 7th or so of 2016 to respond to Single Leaf Lane?
Yes, sir.
What are we seeing in this photograph?
This is a street view. The house, the White House, is actually the address on Single Leaf Lane.
Okay, I've got it. Can you see the green arrow?
Yes.
Or the green dot? Is this the White House you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
And do you know the address for that?
3536.
And that's Single Leaf Lane?
Yes, sir.
Is that the home that you were requested to respond to?
It is.
Is this street area here Single Leaf Lane?
Yes, sir.
And the driveway would be here, and there's a mailbox, right?
Yes, sir.
And there's some yellow tape running along the line there.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that common crime scene tape?
It is.
Use that. That's used to keep the area from getting contaminated.
Yes, Raleigh officers or whatever agency, they put that up before we get there.
All right. Now, there's a blue thing here in the street, another blue thing right here on the curb, and then some various debris in the yard. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Are these similar to the placards that you were talking about?
They are Raleigh police. They have their own blue cones that in case there's something like the wind, they don't want the wind to blow it away or don't want it to roll away or just to mark because they might not see it again. They'll place cones in places before we arrive on scene just to protect it until we get there.
Okay. And is this one of those mid-range views that you were talking about? Or
No, this is an overall.
Okay. And you can see a garage door here behind some trees, right?
Yes, sir.
And a window in the top of the house. There's a couple windows across the front, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, the next photograph I'm going to show you is State's Exhibit 10. And in looking at that, can you tell us what we're looking at?
So this is if I just step from that street and just walk straight over into the yard. I'm actually on the edge of the yard of 3536 Single Leaf, just shooting back into the street.
Okay. So this driveway is the driveway to what was later identified as the defendant's home?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this house here would be directly across the street from his house?
Yes, sir.
And there's a couple cars lining the road, and there's some debris. You can still see those same blue and yellow mostly blue placards here.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now looking at State's Exhibit 11, what are we looking at here?
I just took a few steps. It would be to my right. That's the driveway of 3536, and this is what I was referring to as a mid-range view.
All right, so we're kind of inching closer to the point of interest, right?
Yes, sir.
And in this case, would this be the point of interest that you were looking at?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and when I say this, I mean the debris in the edge of the yard here.
Yes.
And there's a yellow placard on the back of the mailbox post, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then there appears to be a red hat laying. And do you know what this stain or what this in the middle of this area in front of that car was?
Yes, sir. If I look at my notes, I believe that was an area, suspected pool of blood.
And then some other various items resting around that. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now looking at State's Exhibit 12, what are we looking at here? This
is, again, that's the front of 3536. It's just in front of the mailbox.
And do you know what, if anything, this placard was representing?
That's not representing anything. I photographed the scene as I find it, and that's just where the officers had set their extra blue cones down.
All right. And there appear to be some purple things right here. What are those?
Those are EMS gloves.
And a red hat?
The red hat has its own marker.
Okay.
Yes.
Going back, I want to ask you about this placard here in the middle of the road. Do you know what that identified?
Yes, that was actually shotgun wadding.
Okay, and are you familiar with what a shotgun wadding is?
Yes, sir.
What is a shotgun wadding?
So within the shell for a shotgun, you either have a pellet or a slug, and they put wadding in there, and it holds it in there. So whenever it's actually fired out, the pellets or the wadding is fired out with it.
Okay. And did you collect an item here?
I did, yes, sir.
And was that the shotgun wadding that you collected?
Yes, sir.
Looking at State's Exhibit 13 now, it appears to be another close-up photograph, right?
Yes, sir.
And is this the placard that we talked about, number 9?
It is.
And does that number 9 placard have a corresponding set of data entry into your report?
It does.
And what item did you have marked as your Exhibit 9?
It indicates NC State ball cap.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the way the hat was when you got up to that scene?
Yes, sir.
You didn't move it.
No, sir.
EMS or someone may have, but by the time you got there, this is where it lay.
That's how I found it.
All right. And is this in a close area or far away from the blood stain that you talked about?
Yes, yes, sir. It is close to it.
Close?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, State's Exhibit 14. What are we looking at here?
I went around the yard and took photos. There's a lot of pine straws because there's a lot of pine trees. And I was just trying to, when I was told you're giving a synopsis when you get on scene, we were told that after the victim was shot that some people had tried to drag him. So I was trying to indicate in the yard anywhere that I might have seen a drag mark or something.
Did you find any drag marks in the yard?
Nothing that I saw of obvious disturbance, but I still took photos to show what I saw.
Document to show what is there and what isn't there?
Yes, sir.
Is that sometimes important in
That's
your line of
true.
work?
Yes, sir.
Now, State's Exhibit 15, if you look at that, what does State's Exhibit 15 point out?
So this is in the driveway, just outside the garage. I took photos. Those are broken shards of glass from the garage door.
Okay, so if we're looking at this photo to orient ourselves with the house, and the green spot, are these the shards of glass that we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We saw in an earlier photo the garage door. Would the garage door be at the top of that picture or the bottom of that picture?
Honestly, I can't say from this orientation. Well, actually, yes, because the natural area is to the right. So the garage door should be down towards the bottom.
Okay, so the garage door would be towards this area. The glass is leading out from that area.
Yes, sir.
You've got a natural area to the right, and I believe in that other picture there was a van.
That's
So
correct.
The van would be in this left-hand side, just out of frame.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, looking at State 16, is this kind of a further away view?
It is to the side.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
I might have gone in a little reverse
Yeah.
order than what you went in when you were taking the pictures, but this is the window or the garage door that we were talking about.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
And to the right of that photo, and then this natural area that you discussed. And so the van would be somewhere over here to the left or bottom area of the photo.
Yes, sir.
Now, in this photo, can you also see those shards of glass?
You can.
And looking at the window, did you look at the garage when you get to the scene?
Yes, sir.
And did you notice one of the panes of glass missing or broken?
Yes, sir.
Was it this window here?
Yes, the one closest to the front door, the far one.
And can you see in this photo where it is jagged and broken?
Yes, sir. That's
Consistent? Is that consistent in your opinion with the glass that's down here that it came from that window?
yes. I believe that the shards of glass came from the broken window in the garage.
Thank you. Now, State's Exhibit 17, is that a closer up view of that window that's broken?
Yes, sir.
Were there any of the other windows busted out in that garage?
No, sir.
Did you try to open the garage door?
I did not.
Looking at State's Exhibit 17, this is a little bit of a different photo. Where are we when we're looking at this photo?
We're in the eat-in kitchen portion of the interior of the home, and this is the garage door or the interior door leading into the garage from that area. And so that photograph is just taken of the entryway.
So this kind of frames, the door frame that frames the picture is leading from the interior of that single leaf land address out into the garage.
Yes, sir.
And there appears to be a lot of things in that garage, right?
Yes, sir.
Now looking at State's Exhibit 19, what are we looking at here?
So when you walk through that door, if you would take a step to the right and then turn, that is the wall that you just saw from the doorway, but more of a frontal view of it.
And can you see here to the right, is this a portion of the garage door?
Yes, that appears to be.
Okay. Now these items that are in this garage, are they kind of lining the edges of the garage?
They are.
Okay, are they close up to that door?
Yes, they do go up to the door.
So it doesn't appear that the garage was a garage that was used for parking cars. Is that what your opinion of it was?
That would be true, yes, sir.
More kind of a living area, an extra living and storage area?
Yes, I believe there's a couch in there, kind of a TV.
Okay. Several chairs,
Yes, sir.
obviously. Now, State's Exhibit 20, what are we looking at here?
This is straight on to the garage door. The one to the far right that the alley kind of leads up to is the broken glass.
This here?
Yes, sir.
So I guess for orientation purposes, you've got a placard marked number 10 here to the left with what appears to be a table and a TV.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
And a couch with some chips and other items on it to the right, lining the wall. And then there's a little, as you described it, an alleyway.
Or walkway. Yeah.
That leads to that one window.
Yes, sir.
And this is the window that's busted out.
It is.
But these other windows are not.
No, sir.
And there appear to be various decorations in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Some beer bottles, and some street signs, and some flags and things like that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are also some beer bottles on the table.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember if those were open or closed?
I do not remember.
So moving from State's Exhibit 20 to State's Exhibit 21, what are we looking at here?
So that placard number 10 that you saw on the garage door, on the garage floor, excuse me, from the last photo, this is the close-up of what placard 10 is marking.
And so this is that placard 10. We're closer up, but this is, to orient us with the last photo, it would be, if you're facing the window, it's to the left on the ground.
Yes, sir.
In front of that kind of table area.
Yes, sir.
And this is obviously a shoe. Did you place the shoe there to
No, sir.
scale?
That's how I found it.
Okay. And you marked it as placard 10.
Yes, sir.
And what did you understand placard 10 to be?
One spent shotgun shell head stamp Winchester 12 gauge.
Okay, so this is a fired shotgun round.
Yes, sir.
Would this shotgun round, if you know, be consistent with that wadding that was located out into the street area?
That shotgun shell would contain a wadding, yes.
Now, State's Exhibit 22, what are we looking at here?
This is more close up. That's the broken window right in front of you. It's just, yes, sir, as you're approaching the window, that's just a closer view into the front yard.
Now, how high are these windows on the garage door?
If you give me a second, I took measurements. We took a measurement with not of the actual window, because there is a little bit of a lip that steps down from the garage to where the garage door closes, maybe like a couple inches. But aside from that, it's about 51 inches.
Okay. Off the ground?
Yes, sir, from about the center where it's broken.
Okay. So it's not one of these really tall garage doors that you have to step on your tippy toes to look out of the window.
No, sir.
I
could look out the window.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And now looking through that window, is this the white van that was parked in the driveway of that house?
Yes, sir.
And then there appears to be something here. Is this the mailbox that we saw earlier in the photos?
Yes, sir, it is.
Now, State's Exhibit 23, what are we looking at here?
This is me standing and taking a photo of, yet again, going out of the window, except I just turned slightly to the right.
Okay. And so you're turned slightly to the right, which if you were facing the house would be looking to the left of the front of the house.
Yes.
Okay. If I made that extra confusing, I apologize. And there's a big bush or a bush here?
Yes, sir.
And did that obstruct your view when you were looking out that area?
Yes, from right there it did.
And again, you can see these shards of glass.
Yes, sir.
And from that area, you can see a house, correct?
Yes, sir.
And a van and several other cars.
That's correct.
Now, looking right here to the bottom right-hand side of that door, can you see what that is?
It appears to be a lock.
Okay. like a padlock kind of deal?
Yes, sir.
Now what are we looking at here?
This is me standing with the camera lens right up against the broken shards of glass, shooting straight out into the front yard.
So you're dead center on that, as close as could be to for you, dead center on the window that has been busted out.
Yes, sir.
Shooting out your camera lens out towards the street.
Yes, sir.
Specifically out towards that mailbox.
Yes, sir.
And to the left, there's at least part of your view would be this minivan, and then to the right, part of your view would be this bush.
Yes, sir.
Now, is this an incline?
It is. Yes, sir.
How big is it? A large incline, a small incline?
It's not. It appears at first that it is, but when you take measurements, it's only a couple inches difference. It dips down right at the garage, and the driveway goes up, but by the time you get back to the mailbox, it's about the same level as the garage.
So it's pretty flat from garage to road, but there may be a slight crest in between?
Yes, it dips down and comes back up. Yes, sir.
Now, looking at State's Exhibit 25, what is this, if you know?
It's a box of Winchester shotgun shells.
Do you know where this was located?
I believe that was in the bedroom upstairs.
Okay. You said this is a box of Winchesters. Did you say that, I believe it was item 10, the shotgun shell that was recovered in the garage, was that also a Winchester?
Yes, sir, it was.
Consistent?
Yes, it was a Winchester 12 gauge.
All right. Is that the wadding that you collected?
Yes, sir.
And you know that because of those markings that you put on the file folder?
Yes, sir.
And looking at that wadding, does it appear to be the same?
It does, sir.
Same condition as it was when you collected it?
Yes, sir.
If you know, when a shotgun shell is fired and it projects out, obviously, you said that the wadding goes with it?
It does.
Okay. And why is that important to you sometimes?
Because it just helps in knowing an actual... It can't give you the direction, like a trajectory direction, but you know this is the general area that the projectile flew.
Why would you know that?
Because it goes with the projectile as it's being shot.
Okay. Not trick questions,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it makes sense that if this is going in the bullet and the bullet travels, it's going to go the same direction generally that the bullet
Generally,
go, right?
yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Does it appear to be another one of these folders?
It does.
And what is this described to be?
This is one spent shotgun shell, head stamped Winchester 12 gauge.
Okay, looking at the contents of State's Exhibit 27, what do you recognize that to be if you do?
The spent shotgun shell, item 10 from the garage.
Okay, give it back to you.
Okay.
If you'll take that out, will you hold that up and show the jury what that looks like? Now, Agent Ferran, looking at that, how do you know that that's a spent shot? I mean, it might be a silly question, but how do you know that's a fired shotgun shell?
Because the end part would be inward, and it's not. This end is where the projectile and wadding and all comes out of. That is open, and then also you can see that there's been a firing pin on this end.
So one end of it's got a metal area with a little circle in the back, and that's the firing pin?
Yes, sir. That's
So
where it hits.
when it hits, it's kind of like a hammer or something. It pokes it, ignites it, and shoots out the bullet, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very rudimentarily, that's a definition of it,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And so I've got State's Exhibit 26 here, right?
Yes, sir.
And would this be in the front end of that?
It would.
So it would be kind of like this,
Yes, sir.
and when the fires, then it would travel out with the contents of the case.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Agent, when you were walking around the outside of the house, did you see any damage to any of the property at the house other than that broken garage window?
I didn't see any obvious damage. I noticed there was a window screen missing from one of the windows, and it was on the ground in front of the residence.
Were you able to tell what window that screen belonged to?
Yes, I went up there later. I was told it was from the master bedroom.
And that would have been is that the upstairs to the far left?
Yes, sir, the top left window.
All right. And you say it was missing. All the other windows have screens on them?
Yes, sir.
And you said this one was just laying in the yard area?
It was down below the window.
Okay. Was that, in your opinion, something that somebody on ground level could have reached to rip off?
No, sir.
Okay. Pretty high up there?
It was.
Second story window?
Yes, sir.
Okay. During the course of your examination of the area, you said you walked around and looked for other items, right?
Yes, sir.
At the scene, did you find a peach-flavored Faygo bottle?
I did.
And where was that laying?
That was in the front yard around the same area where the ball cap was.
And what about the pool of suspected blood?
It was around that area, too.
How big would you say that pool of what you suspected to be blood was?
I can't really...
I mean, was it a small amount or a large amount?
It was a larger, we would refer to it to a larger size. Yes.
And would you say that those were all in the area where you understood the victim's body to be?
Yes, sir.
You also found a cell phone and a flashlight?
Yes, sir.
And where were they?
They were on the mailbox.
Were you able to determine who those items belonged to?
Yes, well, I was told, and it was from a Raleigh officer or detective, I don't remember exactly who. I believe it was the cell phone belonged to the victim, and the flashlight belonged to an EMS responder.
Is that, again, you say they oftentimes will leave things behind. They're moving in a hurry, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you walked in the house, though, right?
Yes.
When you walked in the house, did you notice anything about it that stood out to you that maybe somebody had tried to enter into that house?
No, there were no obvious signs of what we would say tampering or forced entry. There were no obvious signs.
And that's something that you look for, right?
Yes, sir.
Were there any obvious signs of any tampering or anything with the car that was out in that white van that was out in the driveway?
No, sir.
I don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Cross-exam.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Agent Kouren.
Good morning.
Your training includes and experience includes like the search and recovery for like fingerprints or latent prints. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And trace evidence.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's trace evidence?
Trace evidence could be like microscopic evidence. Could be stuff like hair is one, or fibers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
DNA evidence.
Yes, sir.
All right, and other kinds of physical evidence.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Do you have an experience with phenolphthalein test and luminol?
Yes.
What's a phenolphthalein test?
That's a presumptive test for blood.
Okay, how does that work?
You can swab it, and then with the use of a couple of chemicals, it's just a test where you put a couple drops on it, and if it's blood, then it'll change colors.
Okay, that's a field test, correct?
Yes, sir.
But it's just a presumptive test?
Yes, sir.
All right, what's the difference between a presumptive test and then later a confirmatory test?
That would just be one where it meets to say that, okay, there's certain traces that this could be blood, so then you would collect a different sample of it, and then send it to a lab, and then they would confirm if it is blood, a different blood type.
Okay. And then also, you have tests that involve the use of phosphorescence, like luminol.
Yes, sir.
All right, how does that work? Can you describe that?
Oh, well, there's different ones. There's luminol, there's blue star, and it reacts, depending on which one you use, it reacts with different things in the blood, so that if you spray it on it, then it would illuminate.
All right.
Darker, so that you could see it glow better.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that a test you would use if blood's hard to see in a situation?
Yes, or if you suspected that there was blood there that you couldn't see at all.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yes, sir.
The phosphorescent test. I mean, this is, if done properly, it's good enough to like glow at night, really, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have training or experience with trace metal tests?
No, sir.
All right, you don't. Is that somebody else's job?
Yes, sir. I don't.
Okay. So I think you mentioned a little bit about recovering a .38 handgun, a revolver, from a white Impala that was Chevy Impala that was out on the street.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you weren't involved in the testing of that handgun, were you?
No, sir, I was not.
Okay. Were you involved in the identification of those cars?
As far as writing down VIN numbers and
Yeah, figuring out who they belong to.
not who they belong to, no, sir.
All right, you didn't. All right. So the cars on the street, were you asked to search that car yourself?
Yes, yes, sir. About 50
That's
feet.
what, about 16 and a half yards?
Okay.
Does that
Yes,
sound about right?
that sounds about right.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see any notes that show that luminol testing was done on that yard that night.
No, it was not.
All right. Or Blue Star or any other phosphorescent testing.
That's correct. There was not done.
Okay. I want to go back to the what you were saying about what you found of note in the cars was it really centered on that white Impala that was out on the street. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that Impala was parked. Was right across the street.
I don't remember where that exact car was parked without looking at the photos.
Sure.
I did document it that way, but right
in
off.
the area.
It's in the area, yes, sir.
Of interest to the police.
Yes, sir.
And in there, I think you found marijuana. Is that correct?
I don't know about
Didn't
that.
find a blunt in there.
I
Marijuana blunt.
I don't. Yeah.
Fair. You find a blue bandana, dark blue bandana.
I do not know about that.
You weren't asked to DNA test that or anything like that.
No, sir.
But you did find a loaded .38 caliber Taurus revolver handgun. Is that right?
I know it was a revolver and a Taurus. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I'd have to look at my notes to get the exact.
Sure.
But
Do you know if any testing or kit was done to preserve like any kind of testing on it for, like, say, touch DNA?
yes, sir. I did that. I
Okay.
collected that, took that to our lab, and swabbed it for touch DNA.
Okay. You didn't do. You were just doing the preservation. You weren't doing the ultimate testing.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
What? Yeah, I don't think we talked about that. What is touch DNA?
So touch DNA or contact DNA, it's what we would actually do is I just take a swab, dab it with some water, and then whatever area that of interest that we're wondering is there possible epithelial like skin cells or anything left behind, I'd swab that area and then collect it, and then it has its own item of evidence.
Okay. And you can also do touch DNA testing on ammunition, not just because it's a metal surface as well, right?
So you could do touch DNA.
Bullets in the gun.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Was that done to your knowledge in this case?
No, sir.
Okay. And then I think there was earlier you mentioned homicide, that you investigate homicides.
Yes, sir.
All right. That's what that's not just murder, right? That could be other things like manslaughter or involuntary manslaughter.
Anytime there's a deceased,
Just
we can be
okay.
there. Yes, sir.
All right. It's not the same thing as murder, is that right? Homicide?
I don't get into.
From your skill set.
From my skill set, we process the scene the same.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What's the name? In your field, what do you call an exemplar?
Exemplar?
Or like in the context of like touch DNA or doing a kit like that.
You're seeing like a standard?
Right, yeah, you have the sample, right? The sample is what's recovered from the crime scene.
Yes.
And then the exemplar is a suspect or subject of interest.
That you want it compared to?
Right.
Yes, sir.
So in the context of touch DNA with, say, the handgun, the sample is going to be what the touch DNA that you swab for from the gun, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then the exemplar is getting a suspect or subject's DNA for later comparison.
Yes, sir.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Any redirect?
Very briefly. Agent, you found a gun in a car out there, right?
Yes, sir.
Or someone did. You didn't.
Right.
Is that uncommon?
No, sir.
You search a lot of cars? Or involved in the
I'm
search of
involved in,
cars?
yes, sir.
And during your, I mean, how many times do you think you've been involved in searching cars?
That would be hard to put in a
lot.
a lot, yes, sir.
And of those, do you find a lot of guns in cars?
Yes, sir, we do.
Do you respond to a lot of calls in nice neighborhoods with professional families that have firearms stolen out of those cars?
Oh, yes, sir.
Fair to say that guns in cars are a very common thing.
Yes, sir.
Doesn't necessarily mean that anybody's doing anything wrong having a gun in the car, does it?
Objection to the leading, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Does it mean that anyone has done anything wrong if they have a gun in their car?
No, sir.
Just like it does not mean that someone has done anything wrong? Or does it mean that someone has done anything wrong just because they have a gun in their house?
No, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Recross.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Agent.